Lunch and Learn with me, Julie Cameron, a business growth specialist with Action Coach Solihull. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about something that is quite straightforward, ask, and equally really important. We're talking about conversion and the marketing tools and strategy that we can use to increase that conversion rate, converting those suspects into prospects, into customers, into raving fans, if you remember the ladder of loyalty that we did a couple of weeks back. So for those that are joining us out there on Facebook and LinkedIn this afternoon, then please do drop comments in the chat boxes. Say hi, tell me where you're listening to me from. If you have any questions or queries as we go along, then please do let me know. I'll do my best to answer while we're live on the air, but if not, I will look back after this webinar and answer them accordingly. So without further ado, let me just share screen and we'll get going. So what we are talking about today, we are talking about conversion and the tools and strategies needed to make it happen, because basically what we're trying to do by utilizing those tools and strategies is to make the sale easier, and that's make the sale easier for us but also for the customer, so that they can make that purchase a lot easier, an easier transaction, and also for you to make those transactions easier as well. So let's have a look at it. So what should conversion be? Conversion should be a step-by-step process. So I want you to think about your sales process, and basically how many steps do you need to make, do you have in order to make a sale? So in other words, for example, for Action Coach, we have 14 steps. So we know that once we get somebody on that step process, that it takes 14 steps, 14 touch points, 14 points of contact in order for them to become a client. So my question to you guys out there, do you know, firstly, I suppose, how many steps it takes for you to make a sale? And equally, do you know the steps that you have in that process? A really great thing to do is to incorporate those steps into your CRM system. What's the CRM system, I hear you ask? Well, your CRM system is your central records management database. It's your database. So basically, if you have your step-by-step process incorporated into your CRM, then it makes life so much easier, because it becomes that automated process. You don't have to think about it. So in other words, if somebody becomes a prospect in your CRM, then it will tell you what you need to do next. It will tell you that you need to email them. It will tell you that you need to phone them, and it will tell you when you need to do that. So it could be 24 hours, it could be 48, it could be 72, it could be in a week's time, depending on your step-by-step process. And there is no one step-by-step process that works for everybody. You know, a lot of us often think that when customers come into us that it's a one-step process, that it's a very transactional process, but chances are it's not. And being aware of how many steps that you have in your conversion process is absolute key to increase your conversion rate. So what marketing tools do we need and do we have at our disposal to increase that levels of conversion? First one being letters and emails. You know, we all have access to letters and emails, but the question is, when do we need to send these? You know, when do we actually send them out to the customer? Okay, we have scripts. And now by scripts, what I don't mean is that you have like, well, I suppose in some cases maybe you do, you know, your exact word for word what you need to say. But the key for this is that they don't need to be complex. You know, a script doesn't need to be complex. It could be bullet points, making sure that you have actually covered every single thing that you need to cover at that point of your conversion. You know, it needs to have a purpose statement. What is a purpose statement? Well, a purpose statement is something that you say at the beginning of a conversation with somebody. So the purpose of today is, you know, it could be the purpose of today is to gather more information, to understand better what you're looking for, and then to see at the end of it whether we could work together. Is that okay with you? Well, yeah, that's great. So the purpose statement gives clarity of what you're actually doing. And it's a great way. So, you know, even if you're having those one-to-ones with people, you know, the purpose of today is to understand what you're doing, you know, learn a little bit more and see if there's any way that I can help through that good old power of referral. That's a purpose statement. And all of a sudden you'll see that other person relax and enjoy the conversation, because you've set out exactly what you're going to be doing today. And that's what's key to use when we come to conversion. Also, scripts give you that opportunity to temperature check. Temperature check is not like putting a probe in, but it's, in a way, I suppose it is. It's checking whether whether you're going down the right line. So in other words, how does that sound? Does that sound good? Is that what you had in mind? And it also, script gives you that option to give solutions, and that's what we are, what sales is all about. You're giving a solution to a problem that they have, and that's what sales is. Another thing is a marketing tool that could be needed for conversion is a brochure. What you have to realize is that a brochure doesn't sell, they inform. And sometimes, we'd often think that this day and age, it's quite of a dying art and dying breed of brochures. But what brochure does, it turns that invisible into the visible. When I was talking about this the other day, I was saying that, my parents, are of an older generation, but they're looking to go on holiday. So they went and got a brochure. Yes, they could look at it online, but equally a brochure to them, it gives them something to touch. It turns that invisible into the visible. It shows them what that blue sky looks like. It shows them what that hotel looks like. And it's something to look at. So it's something to touch and something to look at. And sometimes our prospective client actually needs that. So, but they don't sell, they inform. And that having that information to hand and giving that to a prospect customer, actually enables them to make an informed decision. Another marketing tool that could be used for conversion and increasing that conversion is a gift voucher. It could be a gift voucher that you send out in the initial information pack. It could be a potential added value offer product or service. So for example, we always say that if you purchase that suit, give them the tie for free, because you're adding value to the product rather than discounting and eating into your profit. So in other words, that gift voucher could be something along the lines of that. But what it will do is it will help and encourage that person to purchase from you. So it's a good tool for adding that conversion. A questionnaire is key. I mean, we, for a lot of businesses, I should say not for every business, but it's a really good tool for conversion, because it gets the prospect to think about what they're supposed to be thinking about. Okay, all of a sudden you become focused. You become, focused on what you're asking them to look at. So it gives that prospect that time to think about what they're supposed to be thinking about, and it also allows you to ask that question that you may not want to ask. There's always questions out there that people don't necessarily want to ask other people, but with a questionnaire, it allows you to ask those things. So because it becomes the impersonal aspect, you're not actually sat there opposite them asking that question, but don't make it too big and too long, 10-15 minutes only. And the reason for that is how many of us would get distracted, how many of us would like, oh, this is rubbish, I'm not filling this out. But a questionnaire is an amazing marketing tool that helps you convert people into customers. Another one is a testimonial. How many of us have testimonials for our products, but do we have them video, written, audio for absolutely everything that we offer? Chances are no. Why not? People want to hear from people that you've actually got as customers. They want to know that the product or the service that they're going to buy is good. So therefore, having those testimonials may actually help people make that buying decision. Team introductions, and it adds to that know, like, and trust, which people need to have to purchase from you. So, if you have a team, if you have somebody that they're going to deal with, introduce them to them. They start building that relationship. It's key because, like I said, they get to know, like, and trust you. And that's where it comes to the history of the company. What is your story? What is your why? Why are you in this business? What is your story? Have it on YouTube, have it out there for people to listen to and look at. You don't have to tell it over and over again, but point people in the direction of where that story is. It adds to that know, like, and trust with the team intros to get people purchasing from you. Video, audio for every product. We were working recently with a furniture manufacturer, and he was saying one of his biggest bugbearers was that people would phone up afterwards and say that they didn't have the instructions for assembling the product, putting the legs on the table, that kind of thing. And it's like, one of the big things that we did was actually started some videos. So if they didn't get the piece of paper in the packaging, they could look at it and do an online step-by-step online video on how to put it together. They could actually see, they could hear, instead of just a diagram. But have it for every product that you have, show people, also what product and what service that you have, video, audio, incorporate what is your USP. What is your USP? Then moving on to guarantee. Do you have a guarantee? If you don't have a guarantee, could you possibly have a guarantee? Pop that in your brochure, pop that in your marketing materials. But having a guarantee, again, shows that you have confidence in your product or your service to that prospective customer. So therefore, it gives them that comfort, that confidence that actually your product or service is going to work. Other marketing tools, merchandising, banners, stands, points of sale, these will help people become aware, that know, like, trust, and aware of exactly what you offer. So your strategy for conversion, is what do I need to do to speed up that sale? And that's what it's all about. Instead of it taking 4 weeks, how can you make it take 2? How can you move those people further down that pipeline? And the way to do this is to be firstly aware of your conversion, aware of that step-by-step process. So flow chart it out there. Flow chart it. If they do this, then they move to this. If they do this, move to this. If they do this, move to this. Break down the steps. What do they need at each point? Is it an email? Is it a letter? Is it a brochure? Is it a telephone call? What point do they get the introduction of the company? What point do they get the introduction to the team? Break it down the steps. And what you'll realize is that when you start tracking this, and it's all about testing and measuring, it's all about it. For those that are listening on my lunch and learns, often you'll realize that testing and measuring is something that I speak quite passionately about, because you don't know if something works until you actually test and measure it. Okay. So you have to think about it from step 1 to step 2, step 2 to step 3, step 3 to step 4. So track how many people are moving up the ladder. How many people are going from step 1 to step 2? And you might find that you have 90% conversion. So 90% of the people that come in move from step 1 to step 2. Brilliant. How many go from step 2 to step 3? Well, like you say, on here it's 80%. But step 3 to step 4 is only 20%. Now, why? And by tracking and looking at it, you'll be able to see, well, why are people going from step 3 to step 4 is only 20%? Do I need another touch point? Do I need another strategy in there? Yes. So therefore, looking at the marketing tools that you've got, by putting another telephone call, or by putting potentially a brochure or something in there, you may find that your conversion increases. But like I say, it's all about that test and measure. Other things that can affect conversion are payment options. And by this, I mean, whether you accept payment like by PayPal, by bank transfer, by credit cards and stuff like that. What you have to realize is that if you have a customer coming to you for the first time, there's no loyalty there. Okay. And if you offer something that you want, that they want even, but then Joe Blogs down the road also offers that same product, but Joe Blogs offers them a payment option that they could actually use and utilize, then they'll go there. So sometimes the payment options that you offer and your payment terms that you offer will put some people off. So it's something to be aware of. Also your products, your services, your offers, they can affect conversion as well. You're in a competitive market out there, so it can affect conversion. Objections, how you deal with objections, how you deal with like, oh, it's too expensive, or it's not quite what I'm looking for. How you deal with all those like objection handling, how you deal with it can affect conversion. So if you kind of go, well, okay, not to worry, then you're going to affect your conversion. But if you deal with it and deal with it well, then potentially it can increase your conversion rate. And testing and measuring. I'm a big, 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 big fan of testing and measuring, as you can all tell. Test and measure what you're doing. Does it work? It's absolutely pointless doing the same thing over and over again every single day and expecting different results. So first thing to do is track your conversion rates. What is your conversion at the moment? Do you know? If you know, pop it in that chat box. And that's not just a guess. That's, do you actually know? And if you don't know, then my first tip to you all is track your conversion rate. You might be surprised. Your conversion rate might be quite low. So by implementing just one of these things, you might increase it quite considerably. And what will that do to your sales? Another strategy needed for conversion, always keep in touch. Always book that next appointment. How many of us go to the hairdressers? And I suppose I'm speaking more to the women out there. But saying that, they probably do it in the barbers as well. Before you leave, can I put you in for your next appointment? And that's massive strategy for that conversion rate, because you're always going to say yes. Of course I am. So keep in touch. Always ask them, can I call you in a month's time just to keep in touch? Can I do this? Can I do that? You're asking permission. And by asking permission, they're expecting the call, and you will get through that gatekeeper. So there ends my top tips on conversion. Conversion is a massive thing, but like I say, if you don't measure it, how do you know your conversion rate at the moment? And I think that is key. So if you want help with tracking your conversion rate, with helping understanding where your conversion rate is now, then please do let me know. My name is Julie Cameron. I am a business growth specialist with Action Coach Solihull, and I look forward to welcoming you again next week. Take care.